Order to meet the Iola Independent School District, attendance to be dedication.
Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, Lord, and we just thank you for all that you've given and provided, Lord. Thank you for our staff, our teachers, our administration, Lord, and Lord, just ask that you continue to be with us as we all go our separate ways during the holidays, and just ask that you would watch and give us safety of travels. Lord, I thank you for those that are here and those that come and want to know about the district, Lord. Lord, I just ask that everything that we say and do, Lord, be pleasing to you. Forgive us when we fail you, and these things I ask in your name. Amen.
Okay, we have anybody sign up to speak, so we'll move to item number 4, our audit report.
Yes, we'd like to welcome Ms. Molly Abel from Ashley and Rhodey. She's here to present our audit from the fiscal year of 2018-19 school year. The floor is yours, Ms. Abel.
I don't know where you want me to stand. I hate standing in the middle, but we'll get after it. Thank you for having us. We do appreciate us letting us do your audit this year. That is a choice that you made, but we do appreciate it. I'll kind of go through the bound report. I know you've had a PDF copy, so if you're kind of going to do the short and sweet, unless you have a question, please stop me and we can definitely go through that. But on page 6 is our audit opinion, and we are issuing an unmodified opinion. That is the highest opinion we can give. It means that everything here is presented fairly in all material respects. Now, the last few years, I'm sure you've heard about the pension and OPEB liability. It's really made that statement in that position kind of just, I wouldn't say useless, but it's stuff that you don't normally see all the time, and it doesn't have to do with your current operations. That is on page 13 and 14. If you want to see those items kind of spread out there, they are there for you to look at. But I'm actually going to skip over to the general fund if y'all are okay with that, simply because that is the operating fund of the district. It gives you a little more insight as to what went on for the year and what things happened. Whereas that statement in that position is kind of just everything in the district just pushed all together, and it kind of doesn't separate it out. But on page 15 and page 17 is your general fund. Page 15 is your balance sheet, and your ending fund balance in the general fund is just over $1.8 million. That is about 41% of fund balance in your annual expenditures. That's a healthy fund balance. TEA kind of lacks it at 25%. That's what they consider a healthy fund balance, so you have a little bit in excess of that. If you compare that to your cash number at the top of the $1.4 million in cash, that means you're highly liquid. So if you need the cash and something happens, the cash is there at your disposal. If you were to compare this to last year's 2018 balance sheet, most items are comparable. The one number that kind of jumped out at me as I'm going through it is your due from state number, which is the 1240 line. That increased about $377,000 this year. And what that is a receivable of state revenue from the state, and they go at the beginning of the year and they kind of estimate what your ADA is going to be for the year, and they base your foundation payment, your state revenue, off of that number. Well, that kind of fluctuates through the year, and then at the final, they come in and they do kind of a final analysis after your finals, PEIMS, submission, things like that in the fall. And they kind of adjust that. So back in September, they did that, and what happened to your ADA is it jumped up about 10%, or excuse me, I think it's about 12%. So the state money that you were supposed to receive at just under $1 million jumped up to $1.5 million. So you had a large receivable there year-end. That is considered 2019 amount. So we've recorded the revenue and we recorded the receivable. So that's what the jump up in that particular line item is if you were to compare last year to this year.
And again, that was 1240, is that correct?
The line 1240, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
On page 17, your revenues were up just over $500,000 or so compared to last year. About $326,000 was tax revenue. Your property valuations went up this year. The tax rate stayed the same, and I think debt service went down a little bit, but your valuations jumped up quite a bit. So you were able to receive about $300 extra compared to last year. as well as your state money went up about 146,000, and your federal money was up about 10,000. That was due to the SHARs. Now, as far as your expenditures, they were actually down this year, just under $400,000. I know we were trying to put some money back in our fund balance or build our fund balance back up, and we did just that. Your instruction line, function 11, was down about 61,000. Most of that was you had initially at the beginning of the year 2 ag teachers. We went down to 1 during the year, so most of that was payroll, as well as I know you were watching your function 11 expenditures, trying to keep them low in order to help with that fund balance. As well as function 23, your school leadership was down about $109,000. You eliminated a principal position, and that was able to help with that function line item. A few other ones, your function 41, your general admin expense was down about $50,000, and your plant and maintenance was down about $57,000 for the year. So down toward the bottom of that column, you can see that your increase in the general fund balance was just over $1 million for the year. If you kind of flip a bunch of pages over to page 45, I kind of like to look at the budget for your general fund in comparison with that statement, because it kind of gives you a good example of to where you thought you would be and where you were at the end of the year. So at the top, of course, you can kind of see in your revenue that you didn't expect to get that jump up in that state revenue, and that's where that number is lying there in that extra. As well as you expected to spend about $4.7 million in expenses, and you actually only spent $4.5 million in expenses. So you did a very good job of watching your expenditures and trying to keep them as low as possible. All the while, you were initially expecting to increase your fund balance by just under $300,000 for the year, and you can see that it's right over the $1 million mark there. The loose little paper in the back, a lot of this, all the notes are still the same. Nothing changed from year to year. They're just updated and goes into a lot of detail. If you can't sleep tonight, you can use those and get you to sleep real quick. But the loose letter in the back of our report, that is standard communication that we are required to report to you. Any issues, concerns, problems that came up. We had no problems. Everything went very smoothly. Everything works very, very well here at the district. So unless there's any other detail you want to go into, I don't know. Have too much more. Our adjustments are attached. I did forget to mention that. Are attached to that letter. We actually made minimal adjustments. It didn't affect your financials much. The actual change in your change in fund balance was about a 3% change, which is very minimal. I think it was around $30,000 that we actually changed your net income essentially for the year. So that is very good. All we did is kind of reclass and move some things for report purposes. So you did, the ladies up front and everyone did an exceptional job throughout the year. We didn't have to make too many changes. Thank you.
Very thankful. Thank the Lord.
Yes, that is who you should thank.
So,
Okay, do y'all have any questions for Molly while she's here? No questions? Okay. Entertain a motion to accept the audit as.
I make a motion to accept the auditors.
I think
We have to approve that.
I'm having to sign it, so I'm assuming I have to approve it.
Yeah, then we'd have to approve it. We don't have it written in there. So I just recommend audit be approved as presented.
Who made it?
Luke
Motion by
made
Luke
it and Carolyn
and Carolyn
seconded.
second. Okay, any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Molly, thank you. You're welcome to
Thank
stay
you
with
very
us. I
much.
know you'd rather get on the road.
I better.
Ms. Tim, thank you for all your work.
Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all very much.
Okay. Item number 5, consideration of consent agenda.
I didn't have any questions after the packets went out. Just a few. Mr. Gooch and I had talked a little bit today. I left a little handout there in front of your chairs, and what that referred to was the monthly financial report, where it shows year-to-date actual state funding being just over 2.3 million. That amount in that monthly financial actually includes that settle-up check of $548,000. The reason I'm addressing it, and Mr. Gooch asked me about it, because we keep off to the side there in that report the percent. Let's see if I can find the page.
Showing like 90.
Yeah, it was showing like 94%. So in essence, the report was showing that we've received 94.87% of the money we expect to receive from the state, and that's not accurate. Ms. Tim has to post that settle-up check somewhere, so that's where it got posted. She and I were talking about it today, and we're going to find a solution so that percentage that you're going to see the rest of the school year is more accurate. So essentially, if you subtract out the settle-up check, we've received 72.49% of the money we expect to receive from the state. And again, we receive 3 payments a year from the state. We've received September, October. That other payment will be in August. So that's where the other around 28% will come from. So we'll receive a little bit from the available school fund throughout the year, but it won't change that percent that much, that significantly. But anyway, I just wanted to make sure we were aware of that. But other than that, I'd recommend the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Tammy, I'll second. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Those opposed, those abstaining, motion carries 501. I think I said 7-0 a while ago, it's 6-0 a while ago, but 501 was Jody abstaining. Item number 6, campus and administrative reports.
Mrs. Sajewski, as usual, let ladies go first.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to start off with our attendance. Our attendance is at 97.25%. Last month, 4th grade won the attendance competition. They've won it 2 months in a row, and so competition's on. Yeah, so the other day my kid was sneezing and I'm like, "You feeling okay?" I'm good. I got to help my class. We got to beat 4th grade. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what we want. Also, we received 2 new students last month, the very end of last month, and that's for our early childhood special education program. So we've got 2 new little ones here, and they're just really doing well and enjoying their time here. Some events that happened so far from last month to this month. 3rd grade went on a field trip to Dewberry Farm. They were going to go to Aggieland Safari, but some last minute things had happened, so they quick changed it. So they still had a really good time. Those kids hadn't been to Dewberry Farm since kindergarten, so they got to revisit that farm. 5th grade also had a field trip. It was about a half day. They went, I believe, to MSC Opus. They put on a performance for them. We have the book fair going on this week. Ms. Deeren texted me today and told me that in the last 2 days, they've made over $6,000. So they've done very well. I think our record is $6,000 for the week, so doing good. I'm sure Thanksgiving lunch today had nothing to do with that. Let's see, and that was today. So UIL Day 1 was last week in Somerville. We took our 4th, 5th, and 6th graders, and once again, Iola had the most individual medals and the most team medals. So, and our kids were so well behaved. So we were very, very happy about that. Some things going on next month. Just that first week in December is, prayers up, you guys. December 2nd is our elementary Christmas program. We're doing things, Mr. Santos is doing things a little bit different. We'll actually have a live band that's coming to play along with the kids, so they're excited about that. A couple days later, December 4th, we have been invited again back to Elementary Day at the A&M women's basketball game. So our 3rd through 6th graders are going to be going again, and it's a privilege to go to those things. And then the next day, December 5th, day 2, UIL is here, so that's a half day. And the whole district's working it, and it's going to be a big day, and it's going to be lots of fun. And then that Friday, to wrap up the week, December 6th, 6th through 8th grade dance. 6th grade's excited because it's their first time to be invited to something secondary-ish. So they're pretty excited about that. So that's what we got going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs.
All right. So we got a lot of great stuff going on at the high school and secondary levels as well. First, our attendance, kind of like elementary, we're doing the contest, and the same grade level actually won the contest against 11th grade won it. So that's kind of strange that I guess we have more consistency in one grade. But our attendance is kind of down lower the second 6 weeks. It went from 97.68% to 97.22%. In that second 6 weeks, so that's the one that we just came out of. But coming into the third 6 weeks, we're already at 99.18. So we're hoping that the rest of this year will kind of bring our average back up. Athletics, we've done some incredible things this year. As we all know, our volleyball went to the regional finals. They had an incredible year. They fought so hard. I couldn't be more proud of them. They had so much heart, and they just came up just so short on it. It was an incredible game to be at, and those girls just fought so hard. Our boys got into the first round of the playoffs against Latonia. Our kids are just amazing. You know, they just have more heart than anything I've seen. Like, they don't ever give up, doesn't matter what the odds are. So I'm really proud of both of our football and our volleyball programs. Basketball starting up. The girls have their first game on Friday. The boys will be doing, it's called Hooping with the Dogs, on Friday night after the girls' basketball game. So that's going to be, they're going to do contests, they're going to do the 3-point contest, varsity boys versus varsity girls, and they're going to have some contests for the fans. They're going to do a 3-point or a half-court shot for, I think, attendance or to get into games and things like that. Coach Benedict's got this whole thing set up for Friday for basketball, and he's real excited about getting a bunch of people out and getting the awareness about our basketball program. Band, they've got a lot of good stuff coming up. The Christmas program will be December 12th at 6:30 in the high school gym. And then there will be the Beat Eyes Christmas Parade on December 21st at 6 p.m. Make sure to go out to support those. One Act Play's been, they're starting their auditions this coming week. I haven't heard what the name of the act is yet, but they're getting all that ironed out of what, the auditions and things like that. So we're going to get that started, and I'll keep you guys posted on what that'll be. Theater, the theater class, they're going on Thursday to Blinn. I think it's the junior high theater class is going to Blinn for one of their performances from the Blinn Theater Department. So their theater arts, Mrs. Bradisich is doing really good, trying to get all those kids exposed to some good theater things and getting them out and getting them some experience. Some of our data for our second 6 weeks benchmarks. 7th grade science, their benchmark was 93% met with 48% mastered, so that's incredibly well. 8th grade science was the very same, 93% met with 34% mastered. Mrs. Doucette is doing an incredible job in her science class. 7th grade math on their second 6 weeks benchmark is you had 97% approaching, 82% met, and 41% mastered, with 8th grade math being 96% met, 96% approaches, and 43% mastered. So our junior high is doing really good, and they have some really strong data for their kids this year. That's all we got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. I have just a few items on the superintendent report this month. I wanted to let you board members know that we haven't forgotten about the board goals that we've been working on for a while. Where we're at right now is, you remember as we've gone through the legislative update, there are certain certain goals that the board's required to have now. It has to do with early childhood, math and reading, and then some goals at the secondary having to do with college, career, military readiness. So our campus principals are working with their people to develop those, something I can bring to you so we're not trying to recreate the wheels as a board. So we have a workshop coming up in December. We'll talk about those board goals then so we make sure they are set in place January. So I just want to let you know I haven't forgotten about those, and these guys are working on those for us. Safety audit was performed last Tuesday. That's another report that should be ready for us by the January board meeting. Dr. Zemlicka came from Region 6 Service Center. We were the very first district to do the second round of audits for him. So, you know, it's a 3-year rotation. He did ours 3 years ago, and we're the very first district he's gone back into after doing an audit the first time. And he was extremely, he was excited. He was excited to see that we'd taken their feedback they gave us 3 years ago, and we'd worked on those things. Like securing up the areas between these buildings and the junior high and the high school building. We've even, in the last couple of weeks, we've done some stuff to make we have the service road that goes between the elementary and the high school back to the back of the high school cafeteria. Well, we no longer accept deliveries back there. We don't want those vehicles driving back there because we have kids, secondary kids, crossing throughout the day. In the mornings, we have the 5th and 6th grade kids going to band. But we've also, our ag department put up 2, I call them oil field gates. But they're amazing, and they've made that place so much safer. So even if someone wants to drive through there, they've got to stop twice because we put up 2 gates back there. One on both sides of the crosswalk from the elementary to the band hall. And those are just a handful of things that we've done. But I look forward to getting that report from him so that we can continue to take that feedback and become as safe as possible and work on the recommendations they may have this time. Speaking of safety and security, Mr. Jordan had a second company out today, as a matter of fact, giving us a quote on our protective window film that we're looking at. So this will be our second quote on that. The exciting news about the company that came out today, as they wrapped up the day, they were telling Mr. Jordan that they know about grants that will fund this project. And our understanding was that they will almost write the grant for you, give it to you, and tell you who to submit it to. So I'll keep you updated on that as well. Because we're wanting to, you know, we discussed in the budget process doing that to the front of our buildings. Well, now we're looking at the entire district. And the gentleman said he felt like he had a real good chance of getting that grant. So I'll keep you apprised of that. 2 other little things. You have a basketball season pass there. Please make sure you get that. And then if you didn't notice, in the consent agenda, our district enrollment is up this month by 10 students. So we've gone from 532 to 542. And something we usually see that growth at the elementary maybe, but I believe 6 or 7 of those new 10 students are at the secondary. So we're growing, and with the high attendance rates, our ADA is going to be on target as far as what we based our state funding on. So that's all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 7, consideration of election calendar.
What you have in your packet are the dates set for a May 2nd uniform election. These dates are set. This is nothing we do. We're given these dates. So I just recommend the board adopt the election calendar as presented.
I move to approve the election calendar as presented. Second by Danny. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Item carries 6-0. Item number 8, consideration of canceling the December board meeting.
In an attempt to give everyone an early Christmas present, we kind of put some items that would have normally fallen on the December agenda. We're taking care of them this month. So I just ask that you approve cancellation of the December board meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Danny.
Red.
Oh, Red. Those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Item number 9, consideration of the January and February meetings.
Speaking of board meetings, we typically have to adjust the January and February board meetings as we approach those. January is usually because of Martin Luther King Day. It's a school holiday. And again, that would fall on the 3rd Monday of January. And then in February, we usually have to adjust it because of President's Day. And this year, that is President's Day, bad weather, makeup day, school holiday. So I'm asking that we go ahead and set the dates for January and February. It's January 27th for that board meeting and February 24th for the February board meeting.
Those Tuesdays?
They should be
Mondays,
Mondays.
Mondays.
Yes, sir. The only reason we did Tuesday tonight is that's when the auditors could be here. They were at other board meetings last time.
Okay. Motion by Danny, I'll second. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 10, consideration of approval of the SHAC updated recommendations for 2019-2020 school year.
Our school health advisory council, or SHAC, is asking that we make edit to our handbook or our policy. And the recommendation that we're wanting to add to the handbook policy, it states students should remain home until free of fever, vomiting, and diarrhea for 24 hours without the use of medication to prevent the spread of viral illnesses. We would like to put this in the handbook because we have kids that are coming back to school when they're still sick. They're still running a fever, they're still vomiting, and they're just continuing to get other kids sick. So we would like to make this part of our policy. And it's that fine line. When do I send my kid? When do I keep them at home? If they have a fever, keep them at home. We love them and we want to see them, but when they come to school sick, they're just getting other people sick. So I just recommend that we make that that change to our policy.
So moved.
Okay, motion by Tammy, second by Luke. Any discussion? Those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Item number 11, consideration of TASB policy update 4 and 14.
Policy update 114 from TASB. You guys know we usually follow the advice of TASB when it comes to making our updates. You guys have sat through quite a bit of legislative update already. We're, as a school district, as a state, we're still trying to figure all the updates out ourselves. But I would recommend we follow TASB's recommendations in their manual update 114.
So moved.
Motion by Luke, I'll second. Any discussion on the update 114? Okay, those in favor, raise your hand. Motion carries 6-0. Item 12, consideration of personnel.
Yeah, if we can go into closed session so that we can discuss probationary contracts, just an update.
Closed session under 551074 at 6:58.